Today's video is going to be a little bit different because I've had something pretty significant happen IRL and I've gotten a lot of questions about it, so I figured I'd do just one video to address everything and go over the entire situation. So you're looking at an aerial view of our backyard. It's super technical, definitely not to scale, done in paint, but that is the main sewer line from our house and like I said, an aerial view. So we had an issue where we thought we had a clog, and surprise, it was not. We found that there was actually a break in the pipe. So at this point, we knew that they were going to have to completely dig up our yard, and I decided to film a time lapse of it. So we're going to go over the whole time lapse, but I wanted to call out a couple things that happened first. One of those being the random septic tank that we found on the property, and the other discovery that it was full of gross and dirty water. But that happened really on in the time lapse, so I wanted to call it out so you guys could actually see it. So without further ado, here is the time lapse itself. And if you notice right at the beginning there, right there with the arrow, that is actually the septic tank itself. And it's important to note that the house was supposed to have always been on public water and sewer, so it was honestly a really big surprise for us to find a septic tank. At this point, we weren't sure the extent of the septic tank, whether or not we were still going to be in line with it, or if it was going to fundamentally change what we were doing. So they actually started to dig from the reverse side of the yard because they knew where the main sewer line was, and they were going to follow the pipe all the way back. In the meantime, we really had no idea, for several hours, we really had no idea if the septic tank needed to be removed, if it needed to be drained, if our plumbing actually still went through the septic tank, which would really really been a big problem. So there was just a lot of digging and a lot of fingers crossed and a lot of nervous phone calls to the city, to our realtor, to just about everybody that we could think of. So at this point, I'm going to put in just a photo of the septic tank itself. It's kind of hard to see on the time lapse, so I was walking around taking photos outside. And as you can see, it is really gross. Going back to the time lapse, there is still just really a lot of digging. I do have other photos I'm going to insert later just to show other angles of the yard. This was really the best place for me to record the time lapse because it took a long time. I had to be inside, I had to be near an outlet, and I got over, I think it was close to 6 hours of footage. And that's actually the biggest reason why it took so long to edit this video. Initially, I thought that I was going to be able to get the video out same day, and that was really ambitious because after taking all of the footage and transferring it on my computer, which took probably a solid hour, it then took 15 hours to render the first time lapse, and I actually had to render it 3 times just to get the time lapse sped up enough just that it was even watchable. At this point in the process, they had gotten all the way down to the main sewer line, and this is what it actually looked like. As you can see, it was a pretty big trench. It was the entire span of the yard, a total of 80 feet, and it had to be 8 foot deep. I also wanted to touch on the reason that all of this happened. So we actually have 2 really large oak trees in our backyard, which I absolutely love, but they have a lot of roots. And as pipes get older, the connections start to go bad, which is what gives the roots room to kind of work their way in. Excuse the vertical photo, but this is what the pipes actually looked like once they were removed. So we had cast iron pipes, and you can actually see the broken one right there to the left. So now back at the time lapse, they were able to determine that the sewer line that they're replacing doesn't actually route through the septic tank, which is great. It really simplifies things. We don't have to, worry about redoing a whole bunch of stuff or moving connections or anything. At this point, we decided that we would just be able to collapse the septic tank so you can actually see the gravel being delivered. They had an entire truckload of gravel. We were able to confirm that all of the water in the septic tank was actually rainwater. So you can see they're actually collapsing it now. That giant puddle where the septic tank used to be is them just collapsing it. And then they go ahead and fill everything in with stone. So we don't have to worry about there being a septic tank in the backyard. And this is actually what should have been done when the septic tank was initially taken out of use. At this point, the pipe actually had already been laid. My camera ran out of storage right before they started laying the pipes. And unfortunately, I didn't realize until after they were done. So one of the things that you missed with the pipe laying is we were actually also able to run electrical conduit from our house out to our garage. So if there's a silver lining for all of this happening, that's it. That now we have the conduit in the ground. So at a later point in time, we can run electrical service out to our garage and actually start to use it as a bit more of like a build space or a project space or something along those lines. So from a plumbing perspective, that's really it. If you made it this far in the video, kudos to you, and see you guys next time.